Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Politipop Podcast presents Housekeeping for the week of October 2nd, 2020. I am your co-host, Mike Booch, a.k.a. the Soy Boy Pseudo-Intellectual, and I am thrilled to be joined by my co-host, Ty.
Hey, what's up?
Please make sure that if you are listening on YouTube, you like and subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. If you're listening to us on something else, rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Our Patreon is coming soon, so please contact us to let us know what kind of perks you are interested in. What could we give you that would have you give us money to support this and help keep the podcast going? Let us know that, okay? Please refer to MacGruber and see what I'm willing to give. You can find us on Twitter at PolitiPopPod, Instagram at PolitiPopPodcast, or email us at politipopcast@gmail.com. And seriously, do not forget to find the show notes and sources at politipoppodcast.wordpress.com.
It's our best feature, honestly.
It absolutely is. And if you want to get exclusive stuff that we're not putting out as far as our podcast goes, please go to YouTube as well. We're going to be putting out our outtakes on there, as well as some other exclusive behind-the-scenes content. We're looking to keep our housekeeping in separate episodes and our podcast reviews as well. I'm probably not doing Write Out songs anymore unless it pertains to the episode specifically, mostly because of copyright stuff. It kind of makes the episodes a little more difficult. And I think that is about it. That was my housekeeping for housekeeping.
I'll definitely be checking out the YouTubes, let me tell you.
Well, that's right, because you'll probably listen to the outtakes and not the rest of the episodes, let's be honest.
It's the best part.
All right, but we do have a couple things that I think need to be corrected. Some things have been brought to my attention. First thing, a while back when I was doing a housekeeping episode, I kept referring to Ahmaud Arbery as Ahmaud Arbery. It's not his actual name.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. That being said, Ty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Colin Kaepernick.
Okay. What do I call him? Kaepernick?
Every time. Which you can keep doing.
Geez. Man, I just want him to really want him to stand out. You know, it's definitely Kaepernick.
Okay, cool. So you want him to stand just like the rest of those racists? Yeah, I want him to stay. I'm gonna cut that part out in case I ever need to cancel you from the podcast.
Perfect.
I was gonna be like, Ty said he wanted Kaepernick to stand. Get this guy out of here. And there was also another thing. Last time I was talking about the Breonna Taylor case details, and there are a lot of details to keep track of, and I was actually misinformed when I said that Brett Hankison was the one who was shot in the leg, and I'm not sure it makes a huge difference, but like I keep saying, misinformation is deadly, and we need to make sure that we correct ourselves.
So we make mistakes, folks. We're human.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're not even fucking journalists, so please don't come to us to get your news. But if you want to come to us to get, like, our takes on your news, that's absolutely fine.
Yes.
I just wanted to actually go through the timeline a bit, because it does outline a lot of different, it kind of puts into order how things occurred that night. There's and you could find that in the show notes and sources as well, but I'm going to start from 12:40 a.m. Officers were in place outside of Taylor's apartment and began to knock on the door. After a few knocks, Mattingly said, Mattingly is one of the cops who busted in there, they began to identify themselves as police. Once again, this is their recollection of it. I'm not sure I believe it. I don't. The knocking startles Taylor and Walker out of bed, and then they began yelling out, asking who was there, Walker said. They don't hear a response. So I guess they did knock, but didn't say that they were police. After about a minute and hearing no response from inside, police use a battering ram to knock in the front door. Inside, Walker had grabbed his gun, as Kenneth Walker's Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. Walker had grabbed his gun as both he and Taylor pulled on clothes and went to answer the door. They left the bedroom and hadn't made it down the hallway before the door comes off its hinges, he said. Excuse me. 12:42 a.m. Neighbors in the St. Anthony Garden Apartments called 911 to report gunshots. Walker says he fires one shot as a warning aimed at the ground, still unable to see and unclear who is at the door. Mattingly and detectives Miles Cosgrove and Brett Hankison returned fire. 12:43, officers on the scene called dispatch to report an officer had been shot. Officials say this was the shot Walker fired. Taylor is struck in the return fire by police. Then they mishandle the rest of it going forward. But so it looks like Brett Hankison was actually not shot. He saw one of his dudes get shot, ran outside, and started shooting at the apartment from outside. So he was charged with wanton endangerment for doing that, which is kind of a ridiculous move. Probably something I would pull off in Call of Duty. I'd be like, oh, don't worry, I'll get you from outside, dude. I'm going to get a different angle on him. But, like, how fast what kind of a perk is that you can sprint downstairs that fast in a moment? There's also something in the show notes linking to an article about how it might not have actually been Kenneth Walker's shot that hit Mattingly.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was said that a 9mm hit him, but ballistics did just confirm that a 9mm gun was issued to Hankison beforehand. So he might not have been shooting with a .40 caliber like the rest of them were, meaning it might have been friendly fire. Meaning
interesting.
But I mean, honestly, the whole thing is backwards, and I feel like we're not really ever going to know what truly happened because, Kenneth Walker says he shot at the ground. So now we're, so it ricocheted perfectly into that guy's leg. I don't know. Like, there's just so much. Point is, for those of you who don't tread on me, folks, cops coming into your apartment and being able to murder you with impunity.
Without announcing themselves. That's the important part. They didn't announce
themselves. Is the exact definition of treading on you. So please keep that in mind. Next, just really, I wanted to mention that there's a lot going on with the Julian Assange trial. We're not hearing much about it in America, at least as far as I'm seeing. So please keep an eye on that. You can go to Rich Medhurst. He is a journalist on YouTube.
Yep. Independent journalist. He's got no stakes in it, He's just trying to report what he sees and give his takes on it. And
yes, yeah, he's a British citizen, political commentator who was born in Damascus, Syria, and he has a pretty good knowledge, pretty good way of looking at not just American events but world events as well. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. It's linked to in our show notes and sources. There's a lot been going on with the Assange trial. The defense is they just diagnosed him with Asperger's syndrome and depression, saying that he'll be more likely to kill himself if he's extradited. And the prosecution is trying to deny that because they're saying he couldn't do all the great stuff he's done if he had Asperger's syndrome, which is just incredibly inaccurate. And I guess ableist too. But we're not necessarily talking the whole episode about the Assange trial. There's something much more pressing. Well, not much more pressing because it does involve, America, who is trying to extradite the guy. But yeah, so you can keep an eye on that by following Richard Medhurst. We're looking to we're going to cover this debate a bit. Are you for that, Ty?
Yes, but before we do that, I just want to bring up a personal event that I experienced over the weekend.
Oh no!
So there was a Trump parade, Trump rally moving through the streets right outside my home, right outside my apartment. I was at work. My girlfriend was home. My parents were home. Several people that I know in the neighborhood were home. So, they experienced it. It went on for over 2 hours. Over 2 hours, a bunch
2
of
hours, and you live on such a small and narrow block.
Yes, yeah, like they
it's
came
not like you
from.
live in a city. You live in the suburbs, bro.
Yeah, so they came from the small town that I live off of. Down my street, and they all had their Trump flags and they were waving them, and they were screaming, "You don't need to wear a mask," and keep America great. And
was she afraid to go outside?
Oh, terrified! She actually had ordered food from DoorDash, and the driver called and said they weren't able to get down the road; they had it blocked off for the parade, and my girlfriend was too afraid to walk down to the end of the block to get it. So
yeah, a noticeably Latino woman.
Yes. And to add insult to injury, my downstairs neighbor, because I live in a house that's made into apartments, so there's 3 apartments in this house. The middle apartment, who lives below me, he was actually in the parade for a little bit, and then he came outside when he came home and he clapped for like an hour. Like I said, this went on for about two and a half hours of people driving by, and every time they thought it was over, they would keep coming. And down the street from me, a gentleman who lives here on this block was actually assaulted by several of the people in the parade. He said that
get out of here.
Yeah, no, he is a white guy. And he was apparently crossing the road.
Get out of here even more then.
Right. So from what I understand, he was crossing the road, and this pickup truck, this Trump supporting pickup truck, almost ran him over. So here, I got the story right here. So yeah, he said a big pickup truck tried to hit him. So he smacked the mirror with his hand as he was jumping out of the way, or moving out of the way. The truck stopped, and the driver jumped out with a handgun, chased him, and he ran behind a trailer hitch and I guess used it as a weapon against this guy with the gun. So then a bunch of other Trump supporters in this parade ran up and grabbed him, and they held him down and put the gun against his neck. And it turned out that the guy with the gun was retired NYPD. So,
holy shit!
Yeah.
Do we have any names yet, or?
Yeah, well, of the victim, but not of the cop or the retired police officer so far that I have. And this guy says his girlfriend's African American. She was terrified. The guy kept holding the gun. His finger was on the trigger. He says we're both traumatized. We feel very unsafe. The police came and they arrested him, the guy who was being held at gunpoint. I guess for assaulting the guy's truck. I don't
serious.
I don't know. Yeah, so he's looking for a pro bono lawyer right now because he's got all these charges against him.
Is this a Facebook post the guy made?
Yeah. He's looking for help. He's looking for help right now. Again, I wasn't there. I don't see the whole story, but it seems like if one guy's got a gun,
it's definitely believable.
Yeah, one guy's got a gun and another guy has no weapons. Yeah. Why is he getting arrested, right? And my girlfriend personally saw several local police cars join in on the parade. There were police who were driving, serious? Screaming Trump stuff. And this held up the parade for a while. So it's not like they were just there for
security. They were
no, they were getting involved. And my neighbor's sitting there clapping while this guy's being assaulted a couple houses down from me. And then they proceeded to leave my town and go to the next town, which is much bigger, the Huntington area. And they basically closed off Main Street, Huntington. And there's a lot of businesses there. It was a Sunday, and that's one of their busiest days. They were really relying on revenue for that day, right? Yeah. So there's a cat cafe there, and they made a post, and they said, we're not getting political. I'm not saying about what side I'm on, but I am a small business that has struggled through COVID, and I was booked up for the whole day. Right, I had people book up at the Cat Cafe throughout the whole day, and they all had to cancel because nobody could get to me. So Trump supporters claim they're all about small business, right? But they just shut all these small businesses down. People couldn't even go there on the busiest day of the week for them. So besides it being just annoying and disgusting, it actually financially hurt people. Who were relying on this data to help them pay their bills. So, someone on my block was assaulted and arrested. So, it's pretty fucked up. It's obviously really messed up. I wish I was home. I wish I could have gone out there and protest. I heard there's another one coming this Saturday, and I happen to be off, so I will be standing outside with my shirt. My Black Lives Matter shirt. I'm going to see if I can get a communist flag or something. I don't know. I'm just going to go out, try to piss them the fuck off. Yeah. That's my goal. And hopefully I don't get assaulted, but we'll see what happens.
Because the thing is, they don't fucking care about small businesses. They don't even fucking care about being patriotic, about, it's not about America, it's about Trump.
Yep.
Okay? It's not about safety, it's about fucking racism. That's really what it's about. Because, I feel like you can ask a lot of people from a certain demographic right now, how much better is your life now than it was 4 years ago? Please, just tell me. There are Republicans who are suffering and want stuff too, and I'm not sure when I was planning on bringing it up in the episode, but I spoke to you about it, and it really breaks my heart because these people are so blind by fear and hate, but we need them. We need them for the revolution, okay? They're also the proletariat. They're also the working class people with us, and we're all being held down by the bourgeois. So like, we need them too. Like, we don't need someone to run on Democrat. We do need a literal People's Party. Link to it in the show notes again. But like, we don't need a Democrat. We don't need a Republican. Okay, both Democrats and Republicans are here to represent a capitalist monster that's meant to keep the working class just happy enough so they don't revolt, but just miserable enough so that way the 1% can still keep everything. Okay, so it sucks because the whole, like, oh, we got to reach across the aisle. Like, I think there are some people, like, who are legitimately concerned about the economy and their country and stuff. And I think that those people can be brought back. But there are other people who are just like, I don't give a fuck as long as he keeps sterilizing brown people, talking shit about Mexicans, making the libs cry. Like, that's what they want. They want a fucking reality TV show president because, you know, and that's what they got. And they want to keep that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think at this point, for the good of mankind, literally, like, we need the system to be broken, and maybe Trump is the key to that. You know, am I going to go and vote for him? Hell no. But I'm not going to vote for you know, another centrist Democrat either. And you know, if Trump supporters really keep this up and they keep, you know, causing the young people to go into the streets and protest and be active, maybe in a way it's a good thing because it's finally waking people up, right? Like, we've been asleep for so long, you and me included, right? Like, we've only been awake.
I was so happy that we had Obama.
Yeah, we loved him.
You know, because I still keep getting shit about it, about how, like, oh, well, you know, Biden would do this. Biden, like, oh, you're not voting for Biden. You're voting for Black Lives Matter. You're not voting for Biden. You're voting for LGBTQIA rights.
Yes.
You're voting for a Supreme Court justice. One Supreme Court justice is going to be in 10 fucking minutes anyway. So don't tell me about what Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, what are we voting for? I mean, it's done. Trump said on the debate last night, it's done. So it's like, you know.
So you also have, obviously, you have the crime bill, and you have Kamala Harris, the top cop being the VP pick, who is all in favor of for-profit prisons, who wouldn't let trans people be put in the same facility as the gender they identify as, which is clearly abuse. Like fuck you guys. You know, if he actually had a record for any of this stuff, then yes, I could see. Vote for Black Lives Matter. He says he wants to increase funding to police.
Yeah, okay? He said it multiple times.
He denounces the riots and everything, and and I know at this point it's like, oh well, riots are back because guess what? We're fucking pro riot on this podcast, okay? We're not pro people getting hurt, but businesses being, and obviously small businesses that get destroyed, that's terrible. But I'm talking about like fucking Targets and banks and chain businesses and stuff and government buildings. Fucking those aren't people. They're property.
Well, I've heard people say, well, you just put those people out of a job. If those fucking corporations cannot afford to continue paying their employees or find a way to hire them at another close location, like, I just don't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, they have so much money. Why can't they do that? Why can't they support these workers? You know, they lost one building. They have thousands more that they're making, millions and millions of dollars from.
Introduce loans to rebuild a mom and pop shop where that place was then.
There you go.
And have it start hiring local people. Because that's the thing. We don't have communities anymore that have like a dollar within those communities. I spoke about Killer Mike and the black dollar that he had in it. Actually, I might not have mentioned it on the podcast, but watch Killer Mike's Netflix docuseries. I think it's only 6 episodes. It's called Trigger Warning. And he does talk about how like the white dollar is kept in circulation and the Asian dollar is kept in circulation between the Asian communities for a certain amount of time. And there really isn't a black dollar. And I think part of it is because so many of the like mainstream corporations and businesses are white owned.
Yeah.
But there's also no black dollar because of stuff like Tulsa in 1921.
Yeah.
There's like every time black people have tried to prosper, it's been burnt down. So guess what? Everybody else gets to prosper, and this group fucking doesn't. And you know what's terrible is that if they wanted to truly stop the riots, do you know what you do?
What do?
You fucking hold the officers accountable. Like,
oh my God! Wow,
that's the bare minimum. And in doing so, maybe you have a better quality of officer now.
That's the thing. Is like people think like we're like. Kill, Black Lives Matter means kill the police. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's not what we're saying. We're saying if they murder somebody, hold them accountable. They shouldn't get this immunity that they get, right? Like, they should be held the same way any other person is, because they can commit crimes. Just because they're a police officer doesn't mean they can't do that. You know, this isn't a dictatorship where you can do whatever you want. It shouldn't be, at least.
Yeah, there shouldn't be state-sanctioned killing. And, I mean, obviously the reason they won't hold law enforcement accountable or hold the state accountable is because once you see that rioting works, that's when the people know that they're really the ones who have the power.
Yep. They can't let that happen. They can't let that happen. Yeah, they don't want
to make that concession. So as we're talking about all these things, we are going to be mostly, at least I was planning on mostly focusing on the debate.
Yeah, before we get into the debate, I just want to say Mark Hamill tweeted out that this was the worst thing he's ever seen, and he was in the Star Wars special. So that should give you an idea.
Christmas special, right?
Yeah, so it's that gives you an idea of just how terrible this was.
Yeah, really. I mean, I was actually laughing my ass off.
It was hilarious.
As I mentioned in our Lovecraft episode this week, stoned off my mind.
Yeah. We were messaging back and forth. It was pretty funny. I unfortunately had to go to bed. I didn't see the whole thing, but
one quote I want to talk about in particular is when Chris Wallace, who got completely cucked during this debate along with Joe Biden, he asked Trump if he'll actually denounce white supremacy, and he's like I denounced white supremacy before, and he's like, well, have you denounced these groups? And he's like, all right, fine. What do you want to call them? I'll denounce them right now.
He goes, give me a name. What do you want me to call them?
Yeah. He goes, Proud Boys, stand down and stand by. Which right there, I mean, people are pissed about it. They're like, oh, he's dog whistling to his fucking. He's been doing that from the beginning. This doesn't mean different. Yep. He'll just, because he needs these people. He needs his radical supporters, because in the event that Trump is voted out of office and refuses to leave, he's going to trade his Gestapo that's wearing camo for his Gestapo that's wearing black and yellow, which is what the Proud Boys are wearing, okay?
But the thing is that Trump doesn't need to win anyone over at this point. He already has the supporters, so if he denounces this group, he's going to lose ground. All he has to do is just keep saying the same shit he's been saying and be a piece of shit, and people will keep voting for him. So, he had nothing to lose, really, here.
Not at all. He had everything to gain.
Yeah, everything. Biden's the one that had to win people over. So, of course, Trump's not going to denounce the Proud Boys,
Yeah, so Biden was walking this ridiculously thin line, because... So the Biden campaign and the DNC have decided to target Republicans and moderate Democrats and conservatives and centrists. That's, they've completely alienated the left, but somehow Biden is still walking this thin line between the true left and those liberals and the centrists, as Trump calls the left, the radical left. Yeah. And Trump kept fucking hitting them, bro. And I have never seen this man speak like this in my fucking life. He was like, oh, you won't accept Medicare for all? You just lost the radical left. Oh, you won't accept the Green New Deal? You just lost the radical left. He keeps coming out with these things. And I was like, holy shit, how is his finger so on the pulse?
I know. He was nailing it. He just kept pummel after pummel after pummel. Biden didn't have a chance.
Seriously. And then every time he wasn't supposed to talk, he would just talk over Chris Wallace. He commanded the room. It was very Tony Stark energy, honestly.
It really was. It was a little annoying. But yes, he came out fierce and strong. I'm sure liberals are gonna go, well, he just wouldn't let anyone talk. He's such a jerk. But it doesn't matter, because he won. He won the night by a landslide. And I think we all went into this knowing Joe Biden was not going to debate well. And I think Trump didn't even give him a chance to try. So it was brutal. It was really brutal.
I think the ground rules were really set by Trump, because if Biden decides to continue talking over him the same way it's getting done to him, then he's caving to Trump's rules and he's playing on his level. But if Biden does play by the debate rules and stops talking as soon as Trump interrupts him,
he looks weak.
Yeah, exactly. He's weak, and Trump is just able to say what he wants when he wants.
Yeah,
and
he had no chance, And Trump just kept baiting him, At one point he called him a socialist. To which Biden, very smugly and very quickly said, no, I defeated the socialists. I defeated, Bernie Sanders. And Trump came right back at him. He goes, if Pocahontas would have left 2 days early, you would have lost every primary on Super Tuesday. You got very lucky. And, for listeners that don't know, this is referring to Elizabeth Warren, who claims that she does have Native American blood in her. Obviously, calling her Pocahontas is a pretty racist thing to do. But But in a way, Trump is correct.
Well, he's a pretty racist guy.
Yeah, that Elizabeth Warren, a lot of her voters had similar ideals to Bernie supporters. And had she dropped out before Super Tuesday, like everybody else but Joe Biden and Bernie, all of her voters would have gone to Bernie Sanders. And there's a good chance Bernie would be the candidate right now. But the DNC, of course, rat-fucked him, as the term is being used. And Trump called it out right there. And I was blown away that he brought it up.
Yeah, and speaking of rat-fucked, it's call out to Comrade Dracula and Anthony Montoya.
Yes.
Our Move Left Idiots.
Friends from Move Left Idiots who are
they follow us. I'm going to call them friend of the pod.
I like it. Trump actually tweeted out afterwards, nobody wants Sleepy Joe as a leader, including the radical left, which he lost last night. He disrespected Bernie, effectively calling him a loser.
Dude, that's it.
Bernie joined him, right? Bernie supported him. He endorsed him. He has been pushing him. And for some fucking reason, Biden just keeps stabbing him in the back. It's unbelievable to me that he just keeps twisting the knife. And it's like every chance he has to pull in people like you and me, he's like, fuck you, I don't need you. So it's just like,
yeah.
Man.
He goes, if you believe Tara Reade, vote for Trump. If you believe the woman I raped, vote for Trump. If you want Medicare, if you want fucking health during a pandemic, vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Really quick, I'm Joe Biden. Let's role play. Ask me about my socialism.
You're a socialist. Tell me about your socialism.
I think you're referring to Bernie Sanders, who I had the pleasure of working with, but he was a little bit too radical in order to get the nomination. I was able to take some of his ideas, so that way hopefully I can get his voter base and have a more realistic timeline of how we'll be able to change our country for the better. Boom.
Wow.
I mean, that's not true, but that's what you fucking say. And
yeah.
I am.
He can't even lie. It's like.
He can't, and that's what politicians like. Obama was a fucking expert in lying, bro.
He was.
He catered to progressives, and then ran a completely conservative presidency.
Yeah.
So
he fucking extended the Bush tax cuts, right? Like this fucking guy.
Which Trump brought up.
Yes, he did.
Brought up.
Oh my God! Because every time they called Trump out on stuff, he turned it back around on Biden. They called him out for only paying $750 in taxes, which he claimed was not true. He paid millions, but then he turned around and go, Joe, you're the one that extended those tax cuts, so I want to pay the taxes. You're not allowing me to.
Man, and you know what? Let me talk about it right now, because I'm actually. I mean, I'm not in that much of an altered state. I smoked before the Lovecraft episode. But I shouldn't be able to come up with an answer to that better than Biden can.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
But yeah, so Sean King tweeted out this screen cap of Trump with a little circular doohickey, like a cap or something attached to his head in between his hair. And he was like, "What was this? Was this a neural stimulator or something like that?" And it's kind of conspiracy theorist like.
Yeah.
But based on what I saw, I think it's actually something that would be used for somebody who's hearing impaired.
Interesting.
Yeah, that there are hearing aids that attach to your head, and I'm not sure if they necessarily go into your ear from then or not. But I would not doubt, because man, Trump is so quick on so many things, Ty. Like the 1994 crime bill, like everything we hate Biden for, he brought up so fast. I was blown away by that.
It probably was a lot of his team. His team prepped him really well. But he performed really well on that stage, where Joe just could not come up with stuff quick. He had a couple zingers, but it took him a while to get warmed up. I watched about an hour and 15 minutes of it, and for the first 45 minutes, Joe was just, he was getting pummeled in the corner there. He just could not compete. And Trump just kept cutting him off. And again, he just didn't give him a chance to respond, to talk, nothing. Trump was like, this is my show, and you're going to listen.
And also, here's my conspiracy theory about it. I came up with it 100%. There's a Politipop podcast original conspiracy theory, which has no basis for it. Actually, I'll tell you my basis for it. You can take it if you want. But when I searched up if Trump had a hearing aid during this thing, every article, Ty, came up talking about how Trump would accuse Biden of having a hearing aid, which he did before the debate. So he came out and said Biden's probably going to have a hearing aid. So now anytime anyone searches up Trump hearing aid, there's just articles saying Trump accused Biden of blah blah, and you see it all over Twitter, all over Facebook, and different articles saying it's confirmed Biden didn't have a hearing aid. Biden didn't have a hearing aid, but now there's not even any question of whether or not Trump did.
The man's brilliant. There's actually a conspiracy going on about Biden that he had a microphone feeding him lines because there was a wrinkle on his suit that looked like where a microphone would be or something, or a wire would be. So it's just, Trump is a master.
Knowing what we know about audio, that's a stupid theory. He would. Yeah. Because the mic would have feedback into the mic.
Yes, yeah. But this is literally going around. So it's just like.
Well, that's a terrible theory because he could have done so much better if he did have it, right? If he was cheating.
I know.
How do you look at that and be like, how do you look at the person who got their ass kicked and be like, oh, you were cheating, weren't you?
I know. I know.
Somebody loses a fight and you're like, oh, you must have been on steroids. Like
there was like maybe 2 moments that I thought Biden did well. It's when he said that Antifa is an idea, not an organization. I thought that was yes, a good
just
moment.
Because it's accurate. He didn't even say if he supported Antifa. But
no, he just literally said that.
I've seen it's an idea, not an organization. So so he was right about that. What was the other thing?
And the other thing he said, this is a president who's used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. Which is true, but then Biden turned around and said, well, you created the 1994 crime bill, so you've treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. So it was like, well, oh, sorry, Biden.
I think you might have said Biden turned around and said the...
Oh, I'm sorry, Trump turned around and said that to Biden.
I just want to go through thoughts that I had when talking about the debate, when watching it, when hearing other people talk about it. Because today, I was getting a lot of my friends, and by that I mean more than 2 friends, telling me like, oh, like, you got to vote for Biden, and all this other stuff. Like, and once again, the whole we're in this mess because of the system. Why are you blaming the system? Why aren't you blaming the system instead of blaming the voters? Obviously we had leftist policies that were thrown out there that Joe had to swat away. I'm just going through my notes. This whole debate was pretty much meant to scare people into voting for Biden.
Yep.
And they should be scared, but as I just mentioned, more scared that their system has allowed these men to be their presidential candidates. Like, this is late stage capitalism. This is the American dream in effect, and we're seeing it at its rawest right now. Like, oh shit, like it's just a bunch of insecure old white men with money fighting each other, and
these are the 2 worst candidates that could be up there right now. This is it. This is the worst case scenario, and we're living through it.
Yeah, and here's another conspiracy theory I came up with, because the fact is that Bernie was blocked from the nomination 2 times by his own party. Yep. And, it's his own party by default. He's clearly a socialist, but he's really dancing around saying democratic socialist. And, at home, he might have a hammer and sickle flag hanging somewhere because I think you and I would tell people that we believe in socialism. But, no, we fucking believe in, raw communism.
Yeah.
And, it's just that, once again, communism is such a dirty word that we
So it's socialism now, right? That's why progressive is the term. Because if you say you're a socialist, you're a communist. And if you say you're a communist, you're the enemy. So you have to say progressive now, not to get fucking, burned at the stake.
But the fact is, Bernie was blocked from the nomination 2 times by his own party, but Obama managed to win in 2008. So what does that tell you? Like, if they don't want someone to win, they won't win.
Yeah.
Like, if they wanted to block Obama, they would have, which means that Obama was put there for a specific reason. And he helped people be complacent. That's why people right now are calling on the good years of Obama. Or no, I'm sorry. They're calling on Joe's time as Obama as like, here's what he's going to do. He's going to help out black people. Guess what? Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, Walter Scott, Sandra Bland, Michael Brown, the riots that followed because of Michael Brown that were then squashed by the military, that all happened under Barack Obama. Records for deportations were set under Barack Obama. And, let's not talk about, we could talk about the drone strikes, that there was an American citizen in Yemen eating at a cafe who was killed by a drone strike that was sent under the Obama administration. Now, while Biden might not have directly done this stuff, he sat by and let it all happen. I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't do the same thing. He's very hawkish. And somehow people are thinking that just not that he's the opposite of Trump, and he's not the opposite of Trump at all. Natives were still squashed down at Standing Rock for trying to protect their land from one more inch being taken in a completely long and bloody history of their land being manipulated and stolen from them by the United States. I don't want to say America because America's a fucking continent.
Yes.
By the United States of North America, more accurately. Yeah. And they were squashed under the Obama administration. So what is making you think that he's the champion of people's rights? Where does that come to you?
Well, because Obama got up on a microphone and he was like, "Hey, everybody, like, I'm a cool guy. Like, I'm not going to say racist stuff on a microphone." Yeah. Like that was it. That's all it took. All it took.
And he's not like, and the thing is, he is cool guy. He's attractive. He is funny. He's
plays
witty.
Basketball.
He's classy. Yeah, like all that. I met someone at a wedding once who played. Apparently his daughter does too. Hashtag Blaze at 420. But like. I met someone at a wedding who played basketball with Barack Obama and talked about how cool that experience was. Like, but we're still forgetting the fact that he is a war criminal, that Chelsea Manning and Ed Snowden are wanted. Well, Chelsea Manning, her sentence was commuted at the very end of 3 days before Obama handed over power to Trump. He commuted the sentence of Chelsea Manning. But we have Manning and Snowden, people who have exposed war crimes and are being tried. Hunted for it and crucified for it. That was under the Obama administration. So, yeah, if Biden's going to keep saying like, "Oh yeah, it'll be just like when Obama was president," why the fuck would I want that? Yeah. And now we're, the Supreme Court justice can't be used as a bargaining chip, as we know.
Which we already, I think we brought up another episode. If it was that important, she would have retired under Obama. Right, she would have retired under Obama so that he could have appointed someone, but she didn't, and she stayed in office. Hillary lost, and she didn't live long enough to see who won this election, and here we are. And last night they asked Trump, if he thinks it's okay to appoint the next Supreme Court justice, and he said, "Yeah, I was elected as a president. It's still my term. So I'm going to do it." And Biden was like, "Well, only till the next election. The election's already begun." But, at the end of the day,
that's Trump not a rule.
It's not the rule. Trump has the power because he was elected into office. So in a way, he is right. I don't agree with, I don't want to see him do it, but I can't say that he's wrong.
Yeah, we really do have to call it like it is. Like, in no way are we Trump supporters, but like, where he has advantages, he has advantages. He's the first out of all of our recent presidents to fuck our own country more than he fucks others. Others, they do a little, other presidents would do a little bit of a mix. And, I will admit, Joe did say some good stuff when he talked about like, having to get the police unions and getting civil rights leaders together to talk about police reform. And while he's not going to ban fracking, he's going to get back in the climate accord and all this other stuff. But I don't believe any of it because he waited until now to say it.
But what is the climate accord?
To cling onto it.
What is the climate accord? It's the bare minimum.
It's just an agreement. Yeah.
Yeah. He said he does not support the Green New Deal. He literally said that. Like our planet is dying, and anyone with half a fucking brain knows this. And the guy, neither of these guys is going to do anything about it. And yes, he wants to reform police by putting in millions of dollars into them. To train them some more. I mean, haven't we? I know we've brought it up a few times, and if you do any research, training of police and retraining of police, it doesn't seem to help. It just makes it worse usually. So
yeah, because the people training them, go to Behind the Bastards. They have an episode about the guy who invented killology, which is what police are taught.
Yep.
That's what they're taught as far as like how to handle conflict and stuff. And that was another thing. Speaking of conflict, he says, like, police should show up with a trained psychiatrist or psychologist there. And, fair enough. I don't know the difference either, but I feel like if I'm running for president, I would make it my point to know. And it seems like an amazing TV show to have on USA or Hulu or something.
The psychologist?
The cop and the psychologist, bro. The cop and the social worker. And, like,
the cop doesn't want them there?
They're standing back to back. One guy's got a gun. The other person has a clipboard. They're both trying to and then like the whole time they're trying to psychoanalyze the cop as to why he, this is actually a pretty good idea.
There's some great scenes. The one where like he's about to talk the guy down and the cop shoots him. And he's like, I almost had him,
Next time we do it my way. He was reaching for a gun. It was an ice cream cone. It was an ice cream cone.
Oh. And, it was an ice cream cone gun. What can I say?
My God. Oh, I mean, there's also like, yeah, like he tries to psychoanalyze the cop, or she tries to psychoanalyze the cop, and then, find out like why the cop became a cop, and, like, oh, maybe this isn't your line of work, and stuff like that. And, it's like, don't psychoanalyze me. And, and maybe at some point, not as a cop, but like in the civilian life, this cop has to choose, to use those de-escalation tactics that he learned from his new partner. And,
yeah.
Actually,
like
we make the cop a woman. We make the male the social worker.
There you go. Beautiful.
One of them's black because we got to add some nuance. Okay. No, we'll work it out. We'll work on the treatment and stuff. But and we'll work on casting and everything behind this. There was a moment where Trump legit told his people to watch the polls, like outwardly encouraging voter intimidation. Like he's just ignited this section of the middle and lower class like no one could have ever done. And like, once again, we need them. Like, those are the people we need. We just need to find a way to show them that our way is better and that it's not about the Democrats or the Republicans. It's literally just about people that, fucking Nancy Pelosi just said like, oh, the country needs a strong Republican Party, which I think she kind of didn't mean the way it was taken. But also, like, she meant it as in we need two parties to run the country. Why? Why do we need two people who we know are constantly at war about human rights and the humans are the ones who are suffering? Why is that the way things have to be? That's insane. If everyone prospered, there wouldn't be a reason for us to fight. Right? Or
you would think
it's naive.
You would
it's
think,
naive.
Right? But
I know it's a little more nuanced.
Doesn't seem to. I don't know. Yeah. People just want to keep accepting the bare minimum, and we can't. The planet's dying. People are dying. We can't do it anymore. Like, there has to be a change.
And that change is not. The change just isn't Biden. It's not.
No.
Like they think it's.
Well, he said nothing's going to fundamentally change. So
he has
there
literally
is no
said nothing
change.
will fundamentally change. Why would I think that this is the guy who wants to change anything? The guy whose vice president mocked teachers wanting to fund schools and build schools, mocked them.
Yep.
And
not only did he say he doesn't support the Green New Deal, but if you go on his website, it does say he supports it. So does he not know, or does he lie?
Right from his own mouth. Yes, he's not monitoring his own website. He's not monitoring his own social media. Man,
it
listen
sucks.
Here, Jack. Come on, man.
We hate Trump.
Coming up with lists.
I just want to put that out.
Yeah,
we fucking hate Trump. Nobody wants to see Trump as the president.
Absolutely.
God, I don't want to see Trump as the president.
Yeah.
But it might be the only way to actually get change, as fucked up as it sounds.
In Star Trek, the ideal society in the future came when there was like the downfall. Like there was a really bad time in human history, and they were able to rebuild from that. We might be going into that time. We'll have to ask Gene Roddenberry. Actually, he might be dead.
Oh, shit.
But I'm seeing people on Twitter, they said that Trump mentioned during the debate that he sent U.S. Marshals to get Michael Reinhold. He was the guy who killed the Patriot Prayer dude.
Really?
Who, once again, Patriot Prayer sounds like a paladin level or spell that you would have in D&D. Please, sir, our Lovecraft Country episode if you want to get that reference.
Yes.
But yeah, so apparently he said that. We have a link to the debate. You can listen to it yourselves or watch it yourselves. Just go to the show notes and sources, or fucking YouTube it anywhere. While you're on YouTube, like and subscribe to our page. Thank you. But I wouldn't like. He said that. Like, he openly said, like, watch. All right, my people, watch the polls. Stand by for further orders. And I sent cops to kill someone who killed one of you. Like, I'm good. I got you.
He's proud of it.
The thing is, like, we're going so far conservative that any common sense happens to seem left enough, and people are settling. Like, but we don't go left at all. We just keep going conservative. Like, the pendulum isn't working the way people think it's working. It started at one side and continued to go right, and it's still going right.
I mean, people say, once Biden's in, we can move him left, but we can't even move him left at the fucking debates.
Yeah.
So
and they keep saying, and they keep saying, like, oh, like, just bite the bullet and we'll get you in 4 years. In 4 years, you'll be able to vote for a more left guy and all that other stuff. But, like,
we can't. We won't, because they're gonna be, we won again. We'll just keep doing it.
It's constantly, a tug of war between them. And once again, we're the ones who are suffering. They won't get us in 4 years. We can't keep. There's a reason the Democratic Party is still here. They are historically terrible, and I know, like, it's always brought up, like, oh, they did slavery, and obviously, like, they're not pro-slavery now.
Yes.
But where are the Whigs? You know, the Whigs were a party, back when this country was starting, and we're not seeing them anywhere. We saw the Democratic Republicans come in. We had the Democrats. The Republicans and the Democrats have stayed, but the Democrats have been around for the longest time. You think you stay in power by doing great things for people for that fucking long?
No.
I'm sorry, and I know for a fact you don't. I keep talking about, I mentioned on Lovecraft, I'll mention it here again, People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. If you can see the past of how this country is, you can see right now past the facade that we have, and playing by their rules in their game is only going to have them win, because we're not equal players. Like,
no, if we were, we'd have more than a two-party system, right? Why don't we have the choices?
We would have several two choices.
Like they always talk about the Democrats have such a large umbrella, a large hat for all these different people. Why?
Yeah.
Why isn't there, a conservative party, a centrist party, and a left party? There's not. Why don't we have multiple options here, like England does? England has all these other choices. Why don't we? And anytime a party does try to get started, they just get shut down. The Green Party is considered a joke by so many. You're wasting your vote if you vote for them. Why should it be a waste? Why can't it be a legitimate party?
Yeah. Why can't the people speak? Because, like I told one of my friends today, I said one of two things is going to happen, or probably both of them will happen. If the people don't go to Biden out of fear and they vote with their heart, with their morals, the way that they think they're supposed to, and even at this point it's a little weird because the Georgia Green Party allowed some anti-trans shit to come out. I'll find an article and put it in there. Yeah, so no party's perfect or whatever, but like, if those people don't dissent, if they do dissent rather, not to quote the late great RBG, and they don't vote Biden, then the DNC now knows, okay, the jig is up. We're not going to be able to keep stealing elections from people who are popular and propping up the candidate we want and using fear to get them. That's his whole campaign, is just, I'm not Trump, and they don't want to give any leftist policies. You're supposed to be a representative of the people, and you don't want to cater to any of the people's wishes. Why should we have to put you left? You should go left because of us. What are you talking, Captain America? No, you move, right?
Yeah, yep.
Don't tell me that the way I'm going is wrong when I'm the one refusing to vote for a fucking racist, rapist, guy with there's no actual diagnoses of dementia, so I don't want to be, ableist and say that necessarily. But clearly, I'll be ageist. He's fucking old. Okay.
Yeah.
and
he's old enough that he can't remember what he's talking about.
Yeah. And so is Trump, and honestly, so is Bernie. And the point is, like, even if you are old enough to keep it together, we should have a candidate who represents us. We should have a Supreme Court that represents us. It should be a bunch of people who are 30 to 50 years old, who are multicultural, multi-gendered and stuff like that. That's what we shouldn't still have so many old white men running for office.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, why is it always got to be old white guys we're looking to save us? They haven't done it before. They're not going to do it now.
You're never going to give up power naturally. That's it. Historically, it's always been about keeping the lower classes warring with each other, preferably people of color, but also, there are poor white people who would side with them, with the natives and the slaves, and the powers that be did not like that.
Yep.
So they made it a point to keep them warring with each other. They gave the natives private land, and some other natives didn't get that land, and so it would lead them to fight. They intentionally put whiskey into these communities to make them lazy and complacent. Similar to how the government introduced crack into black communities as well. Like, this is an old ass rule book, and the same rules are still being followed. Why are we still following the Constitution this far? Into the future? Things have changed. So many things have changed. These rules have to change. Our country has to change. And until we can have the reckoning that Germany has had with their terrible history, and that, until we can have the Japanese, they had to be humbled as fuck. Right? You talked about all the atrocities they did. Oh, this is so weird if I just bring up the Japanese and don't mention the Lovecraft Country episode. The fucking Japanese. Let me tell you. No. What I'm saying is that the great purveyors of anime have there's a history.
They had to rebrand themselves
with Korea and China, and everything, and up until getting the shit bombed out of them,
They were an imperialistic country.
They were an imperialistic country. Maybe some terrible shit has to happen to us until we can stop focusing on other fucking countries, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and start focusing on what we can do right. And like until we truly do start introducing more socialist policies and policies that benefit the people. And why am I running a 5K where I have to pay $30 so a kid can have heart surgery? Why can't we just give the kid heart surgery?
I actually was venting to you the other day because I went to the dentist to get some x-rays done, and it cost me $215 with insurance because I only am allowed to get them once every 3 years, and I got one a year and a half ago.
Jesus, and with your dental history, bro, you need to be on top of that.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, okay, great. So this just cost me $215, and I need the x-rays so that I can get a procedure that's going to cost me over $1,000. So it's just like, it's just why is that the way it is? Why do we have to choose between our own health and going bankrupt? Because this can ruin your life. I mean, you could be paying these doctor bills for a long time. It's something that's hung over me for a long time. It's like, I have insurance.
Worse than student debt.
Yeah,
and you do have insurance.
Like for people that don't, they literally have to choose between possibly dying or living in poverty for the rest of their life. It's horrible.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest here because they're saying Trump wants to get rid of your health care. He wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Guess what? He hasn't done it in 4 years. He clearly doesn't have a plan in place. He's not going to fucking do shit to your Obamacare. Okay? No. What you need now is universal health care. You don't need to settle for Obamacare, which Biden once again was like, oh, he'll get rid of your health care. My health care is better. We'll keep the Affordable Care Act. Why? Why is the Affordable Care Act so fucking great?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Obama had everyone behind him, right? He had the world on his shoulders, ready to fight with him, and he could have pushed for universal health care, and he didn't. He went for Obamacare, which wound up costing a lot of people a lot of money. And it's not this solution that Biden makes it out to be.
No, it's not. And you know what? I want to close off on this because there was one moment where they were, Biden's they asked Biden has he reached out to any particular leaders in reference to. I think it was the Black Lives Matters protest. I could be wrong, but he says, "Oh well, I haven't been able to affect direct change," and he doesn't say it that well, but he says I haven't been able to affect direct change because I haven't held office for some time. So right there should be your answer that he shouldn't have been the candidate. We've had Bernie from the get-go fighting for the same ideals since he was getting arrested with fucking Dr. King all the way up till now, all the way up till COVID. He's holding court and telling everyone how ashamed they should be for trying to deny poor people of money during a pandemic that put them out of work. Bernie's been fighting the entire time, and I don't understand why people are like, oh, well, Biden, who hasn't even fucking held office, who didn't make any changes during 8 years in office when he was with Obama. He just rode Obama's coattails, and he's trying to ride his coattails into this presidency as well. Yep. Fucking Bernie has been there fighting. He's an elected official who has been there, who actually has a job,
Yeah.
And he has shown physically that he can make change. At this point, Biden just has platitudes. It's just, oh, we will do this. We will do that. But Bernie could have literally gotten up there and been like, listen, I fucking spoke to Congress about getting an extra stimulus check. I did this for all these people.
Yeah, he's actively doing things. Even though he's stopped. He dropped out of the race. He supported Joe Biden, and he's still doing it. So he's not doing it because he wants to look good. There's no reason to look good anymore. He's nothing to gain from it. He's doing it because he actually cares. And we could have had that man running for president. And I do think that he would have debated much better against Trump. Because, 100%. People would always call Bernie out for being a little, loud and aggressive. But maybe that, he could have gone toe-to-toe with Trump. He wouldn't have put up with his bullshit. He was too nice to Joe Biden because he didn't want to hurt people that, he felt like were on the same team as him. But I think if he went up against Trump, he would not have held back, and he would have just fucking gone. And guess what? There's not much that Trump could have used against him. He couldn't turn around and go, "Oh, what about the crime bill? What about this?" What is he going to say? Well, you were fighting for people's rights. You want to give people health care.
He just called him a socialist the whole time. Said, "Oh, you want to raise taxes and stuff like that." And Bernie would have been like, "Oh, actually, this fucking Green New Deal that I've looked over and all this other shit says the opposite. Like,
Yes.
you could have stopped him right there, and I don't think he would have played by his game either, because a big part of Trump's game was baiting Biden, and when Biden took that bait, he completely got off task about what he was talking about. Bernie can keep talking about whatever he needs to talk about because he believes in it. He would have been able to speak over him, and I know we sound like fucking terrible Bernie bros being like, here's what would have happened, here's what would have happened. We're not fucking like, you know, like whining about it. It just is what it is.
It's just a fact, you know.
Yeah.
Like we know there's no chance for Bernie to win, but we want to express why we're not joining this movement for Biden. You know, why we have to send the message that this isn't okay. And for a lot of progressives, Bernie was the bare minimum choice that they would accept. You know, he wasn't even the top guy. Like, he wasn't progressive enough for a lot of people. I don't know if people realize that. Like, you know, like but the thing that he did was he awoke, you know, something in the youth, in the young people to come out and vote and want to be a part of something. And, you know, I know people are like, well, if he really did that, they would have voted for him. Not when there's voter suppression. You know, I don't care how many people you got coming to vote. If you shut down all the
participated in.
Yeah, if you shut down all the goddamn polling places and, you know, have everyone drop out before Super Tuesday, you know, it doesn't matter how many people actually like the guy. You can't win when they're literally cheating against you. So, you know, and if you want to support that, then go ahead, you know, vote for Joe Biden and say this is okay. And, you know, and if he does win, then great. There's no more years of Trump, but I would not keep your hopes up that much is going to get better or change. You just won't have.
Don't put away your protesting and rioting clothes and signs, because it still happened under Biden, and, you know, something is going to have to change. And, you know, an individual who says nothing is going to fundamentally change, isn't that change? You know, You know, the interesting thing is, like, also when you talk about like voter suppression and stuff that was done to rat fuck Bernie, like, Trump gets so much bad publicity and so much good publicity, but the point is he gets publicity. Bernie got no publicity, and it was very on purpose that was happening. Not even the left, you know, CNN, MSNBC, like, they weren't covering him either, and that was very intentional that they were covering other other Democratic candidates and not Bernie. It was very intentional. So there was voter suppression all over. You know, we talked about Obama's hand telling, you know, Buttigieg and Warren when to drop out and stuff like that. Like, it was, you know, you fuck your own party. At least the Republicans can unite on the fact that they hate people.
Yeah.
Like, at least they can unite on that. We hate the poor, even though they're our base. We fuck, you know, not all their base.
We hate non-white people.
Like, yeah, we hate the poor. We hate people who aren't white, and we hate people who aren't straight. Like, that's, you know, maybe a gay dude here or there, or
and it's worked for them. You know, like, they know what really their base wants to hear, and Trump goes out there and he tells them. So they are going to come out and let me tell you, if there's a 2.5 hour parade in my fucking town every weekend, you can sure bet your ass that these people are going to go out there and vote for him.
Yeah, and they're not afraid of COVID. Even if they should be, he's made it so they're not afraid of COVID. Put your ballot in and die in a couple weeks. Like,
yeah, you don't need a mask. You got Trump.
Yeah, exactly. He really doesn't care. And you know, I do think there was some sort of assistance on his part. But you know what, let me tell you part two. I told my friend that the DNC will finally realize that they can't keep doing what they've been doing. That's one. And I said, two, you know, another 4 years of Trump, shit's going to have to burn down before those 4 years. You know, there are a lot of people who aren't going to find it. So once again, find your place in the revolution, start learning, you know, finding a useful skill or something, because, you know, I'm not saying we don't get Trump out of office. I'm just saying there's a few different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Stand down and stand by. Okay? That's all I'll say. Stand down, but stand by. Okay? If our president can say it, I can say it too. We don't have a lot of listeners. I won't be brought in for this.
I mean, just remember, if you had trouble getting through that debate because of how difficult it was to watch, how painful it was to watch, and that's who you're giving your vote to, you know, it shouldn't be like that. You know, you should feel fired up afterwards. You should feel good about your candidate. You deserve
better.
Yeah, you deserve better. You know.
Yeah.
Fuck us. Don't worry about us. You deserve better too. Everybody deserves better.
And I think that's a great note to leave off on, dude.
Yeah, I think so too.
Remember, you can find us on Twitter at PolitiPopPod, hashtag NoComrades under 1K, hashtag NoComrades Left Behind, hashtag Arm the Left. Find us on Instagram at PolitiPopPodcast. Email us at PolitiPopcast@gmail.com. Find our show notes and sources at PolitiPopPodcast.wordpress.com. And remember, please like and subscribe to our YouTube for exclusive videos. We do have a Patreon coming for even more exclusive stuff for you lovely listeners. We really do love you guys. We really do love you guys. It means a lot that that people are actually listening to what we have to say, be it for ill or good.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts. Tell us what you think.
For the Politipop Podcast, I've been Mike Booch.
And I've been Ty.
And remember, no matter what you're watching, listening to, what apocalypse you're experiencing around you, never stop thinking, never stop learning, and please remember to read between the lines.
And scene.